There is growing public outrage over Labour's decision to delay local elections, a move that will affect millions of voters and has sparked fierce political debate. Ministers insist the pause is necessary to allow changes to local government structures, but critics say cancelling elections, even temporarily, risks damaging trust in the democratic process.
The argument put by the government for delaying elections in certain parts of the country is there's going to be a change in the administration. What that would mean is that we'd have elections this year, and then in another couple of years, when there has been a reorganisation, you have to go again. So ostensibly, it's argued on the basis that it would be a waste of money. So what it does mean, of course, is that we have councillors who sort of get an extra couple of years on the sort of the base of what we believe will happen. But of course, the optics are terrible. If this was a government that was riding high in the opinion polls, they'd probably be able to get away with this. The fact is that sort of the current Labour government are not high in the opinion polls, quite the contrary. So what this is seen as a sort of a scared tactic that they want to sort of reduce their losses as much as possible. And it doesn't matter about the sort of the rationale. People see this as their democratic right is being undermined. I suspect that we'll probably get to some sort of compromise, although as this time ticks by, it's going to become very difficult. But undoubtedly for sort of Keir Starmer, it's not good. Added, of course, to the fact he's not willing to allow a certain Andy Burnham to run. It gives the sort of the sense that this is a Prime Minister who is, to use that wonderful word, frit. You know, he's worried about what the consequences may be, and I don't think this is going to help his stature and authority in the slightest. And all it does, it gives plenty of ammunition to the opposition. And of course, the opposition most particularly are the sort of Reform UK led by a certain Nigel Farage.
For many voters, the issue is simple. Local elections are one of the few chances for people to hold those in power directly to account. Under the government's plans, elections due this year in parts of England will be postponed as councils prepare for reorganisation. Labour says this avoids confusion and saves money in the long run, but opponents argue it leaves millions without a vote and fuels claims the party is running scared of challengers, including Reform UK. Ministers reject that, saying the delays are about stability and reform, not political advantage, and that elections will be held once the new structures are in place.
I suspect that sort of what the Labour government still hope, there's probably sort of 3 years till the sort of next election in 2029. I strongly predict and suggest that it will sort of run as late as possible, maybe not July, but certainly sort of May or June. And therefore, of course, they hope that sort of some sort of miracle happens which makes them look better. Indeed, there are things happening beneath the surface which indicate that they have that financial situation may get better. And indeed, perhaps Starmer, if you're to give him any sort of leeway at all, let's face it, he's had a lot of problems on his plate, not the least of which, of course, is a certain sort of Donald Trump, who, of course, features in everything, which, of course, has changed the political or the geopolitical landscape across the world, and that's impacted upon what happens here in this country. So Starmer is probably spending far more time out of the country than he'd prefer to. But hey, that's the sort of the nature of Prime Minister. You have to deal with events. And let's face it, of course, that sort of this is a government that only got in on about 20% of the sort of the actual votes. Of course, it won a sort of a landslide, but it was loveless because of the sort of the nature of the electoral system. So it didn't come in on a sort of huge amount of popularity in the first place. So therein lies the problem.
While Labour insists the delays are temporary and necessary to modernise local government and improve how councils work, critics argue pausing elections, even briefly, risks undermining democratic accountability. The wider question now is whether electoral reform justifies asking voters to wait.